Hi, my name is Colin Hiscoe. I'm the president of Reinforce Incorporated, and I'm also been involved with the Australian Self Advocacy project.
Hi, I'm Arthur Rodgers. I'm the Victorian Disability Services Commissioner. Prior to that, I worked in Victorian government, and probably my longest stint was leading the Disability Services program here in Victoria.
Hi Arthur, I'm here today to talk to you about self-advocacy and how and why you became involved in that in the past.
Well, Colin, it's a long time ago, but my recollection was it's probably late last century, and you sought out a meeting with me, I think as Reinforce, and I really just started in the disability program at that stage, and I thought it was best to meet people who had a lived experience, and so I met with Self Advocacy Groups, and you were probably the first one. And looking back, why it was so valuable was because I actually heard about your lived experience, like the things that you saw that happened to you and to your friends and to other self-advocates. And it was really much more valuable than talking to other people in government, as valuable as that is, or reading up on things. The best thing was to actually talk about people and learn from them about their lived experience and what needed to change.
We've done a lot of work together in the past, and you've been a real good supporter of not only Reinforce but other groups as well. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that and what's your feelings, and how come you managed to do all of that?
Yeah, well, because I thought it was important. I remember you came to me once and said, how about every now and again we meet with groups from around Victoria, the network. And then we did it, we started that process, and we've been doing it for a long time ever since.
Yeah.
And the idea of bringing people from metropolitan areas, from rural areas, and talking about their life experience. One of the lessons I got from that was that we compartmentalise things in government a bit: disability, housing, health, transport. But for a person with a disability out there, it's their life, and so we need to think about that more broadly. And so some of the times when I met with the groups, I'd bring people from other departments as well, and we talk about issues more broadly. And really it's all connected out there. So I learned a lot around how you connect things and sort of how it should be whole of government and whole of sort of department approaches, because a person with a disability, they live their life like everyone else, and it involves transport, housing, jobs, and all those sorts of things. So that was really valuable.
So did you have people within the department that you could go to and talk to?
Yeah, well, what I'd often do is try and bring a few people, but because you met with groups and it wasn't scripted or anything like that, there'd be issues come up that you'd have to go and ask someone else. So I always made notes of what the meeting raised, and if I could answer them I would, if not then I'd go back, and either in the department I was working with or with colleagues across government, I'd raise the issues with them, and that was useful for them to hear too as well. So we'd get some feedback that way, and it also was about making sure that within government, you keep networks across all the departments for people who've got involvement in the lives of people with a disability. That's just everyone across government. So you do. It was a lot of follow-up and homework, but it was worth doing. Like all sort of community groups and community movements, it needs a help. It needs a helping hand to get going, and that's why I think it's important that self-advocacy as a movement continues to be funded and supported, because it's really valuable.
One of the big issues that we've talked about, Arthur, is the setting up of the Self Advocacy Resource Unit, and how that was really important to government and to the self-advocacy movement. I was wondering if you could talk about that briefly, and talking about what the government's got out of that.
Yes, sure. Well, I think that came out really as one of the workings out of the first 10-year state disability plan. And a lot of consultations done right across government, but across Victoria around what was needed. And really that set the direction for the state around individualised funding, choice and control, much more community sort of work, and seeing disability much more as a social issue rather than a welfare issue. And one of the things came out of that, the feedback we got was we actually needed to support people to have a voice. And people with a disability to have a voice for themselves, self-advocacy. And so the work that other people in the department did actually came up with this proposal around self-advocacy as a resource unit. And that's 15 years ago now, I reckon. And it's withstood this test of time. Like it's withstood very different governments, different times. And it's still a really strong resource to actually help self-advocacy have a say in Victoria. And the reason it's still there, still supported, is because it's been a really valuable voice to government. Like it's a valued voice to government about directly from people with a disability through self-advocacy. So Colin, we've talked a bit about, you know, the value I've found out of it, but one thing that'd be good for you to reflect on is like the value you've seen from it for self-advocacy.
Without us making that first initial contact with you, and for you wanting to be open and honest with us, the same as what we were with you, and I'm sure that if there was any issue that we came to you with that you couldn't do for whatever reason, then I'm sure you would have wanted to explore other avenues and how we can get around that particular issue or project. So, on behalf of Reinforce and all the members of Reinforce, I'd like to thank you for that first meeting, and it's given us a good friendship and a good voice.
So it's not just about me, it's about people in the department, and I've not been there for a while and they're still engaging and supporting it. It's not just about the Victorian government or DHHS, it's about local government, it's about the Commonwealth government, it's about the NDIA. The truth is, for that investment and that support, you get people with a disability talking directly to you, and that produces better decisions, better policies, better outcomes for people with a disability. And who doesn't want that?